Hello guys and welcome back to the WCA Open European Qualifiers. We just had Gara qualify for China. Man, Tempo Storm must be very happy.
Yeah, and he must be very happy as well. He missed out on it last time, but this time nailed it straight on. Really close set though, could have gone either way, went down to the very last game, but Gara's probably pretty happy now, and it's sort of, because he's played first, it gives him the time to sort of understand that he's made it and he will be going to China, sort of just take a breath, relax, and then prep for the finals, because it does mean that he is still going to play and try and get that first place finish.
He still has an opportunity to win the whole tournament, so not only is he going to China, but he has an opportunity to win an $8,000 for first place, and he is guaranteed at least $3,000. So a big achievement for Gara, and a big congratulations to him, like you said, But that's not what we're going into now. We have the next opportunity for a player to go to China. Crane versus Alex from Millennium.
Yeah, I mean, again, we briefly went over this beforehand, but Alex, super solid play. Won his set 3-0 yesterday versus Born to Win. But, he played really well, Born to Win. There was a few interesting plays there, but overall, Alex, super solid, and that shined through. And in Conquest to 3-0 someone, it's quite the feat, actually, because you're lining up decks against potentially any deck that opponent has. If they've not won a game yet, there are no decks removed. So, going 3-0, that's actually pretty strong, and I expect a good match from Alex. But on the flip side, we saw Crane take on Hallmark as the first match yesterday, and he did win 3-1, although two of the wins were actually incredible top decks that maybe didn't, one of them directly lead to a win. Yeah, the Freeze Mage match where he top decked the Pyroblast, I think, led directly to a win, whereas the Innovate on the sort of dead turn 5 into Dr. Boom for his Druid made quite a big impact. So Crane, we know him very well as a strong player, but he definitely did get on the right side of the RNG gods yesterday.
Yeah, they were praising him, and he will have an opportunity now to go to China, much like Alex. Both of these players are very strong, so I think we're in for a very good match. Crane is from Denmark, correct?
Yes.
So Denmark versus France in the next game coming up. So Crane is a patron specialist. I've spent a lot of time investing into that deck, and since the nerf, he's actually brought a different variety of patron. And speaking of patron, I think he's actually queuing up first here. So we're going into game number 1. Which one of these players is going to go to China? We shall see. Crane, as I was just mentioned, queuing up that patron warrior, and Alex going for the hunter, which is quite fitting since you're a hunter fan.
Yeah, it's not too bad at all. Do you want to just go over the mulligans here? And we've got the warrior with the Frothing Berserker, which again, when everyone saw the patron nerf, they kind of thought that, oh, Frothing will go out the window because a lot of it's heavily reliant on the charge effect. But we see that it's been being kept on in the deck, and actually it's just a threat in itself. You can play it as a sort of tempo play on turn 3, or whenever you drop it on the board, your opponent kind of just has to deal with it. There is no option. If you leave it up, you could just die, or die, really quickly in the next 1 to 2 turns. Whereas on the flip side, Alex does have the pretty okay starting hand of Creeper, Animal Companion, and a bow. He isn't on the coin though, so I think he definitely would have liked to see the coin on in this game.
Now, you're speaking about Frothing. It's a 2/4 as well. It's quite a bulky minion, really, and it's not going to be damaged by the whirlwind effects for the charge anymore. So, like you said, as a tempo player alone, it's very strong, and it was very popular as a tempo player against stuff like Druid, which we still see in the meta game. Armorsmith, fantastic card, starts slowing down these hunters. Fiery Warrax is going to be able to clear up this beast, so no beast synergies can be used on the board just yet, and clear up one of these 1-drops. So Crane already in the driving seat.
Yeah, Crane's in a really nice position here, and Dread Corsair is a card that was used in Patrons previously, and then it sort of took a bit of a back seat for a while, but now that there's some space freed up because of the lack of war songs, we see cards like Dread Corsair come back. Versus a hunter, this is pretty big. It's a taunt that, this deck doesn't really run many taunts in Patrons, so wow, and drawing 2, that's pretty nice. But putting up like sort of speed bumps for the hunter, as well as Frothing Berserkers, that hunters kind of struggle to deal 4 damage, this kill command, but then everything else falls a little bit short unless they can combine like multiple minions, or as we can see on the board at the moment, a bow and a 1/1. So even the Berserker wouldn't be a terrible play, but I kind of like double Dread Corsair at this point.
Well, this is it. He's got interesting choice. You can go for the double taunt here, 2 free freeze. or he could go for Frothing and kill the 1/1, make a 3/4, and then he just has the bow. So like you said, he needs to find a little bit extra to be able to finish the Frothing. But both plays just seem really good right now.
Yeah, Crane's definitely got a lot of good options. And on the flip side, Alex has Abusive Sergeant, which is going to be nice to trade up into, say, these Frothings, if he can have a minion on the board to use it with, though. Because I imagine Crane, as the game plays against most Hunter decks, is you want to keep that board empty so there's not continuous threats and continuous cards to benefit from things like a Juggler Unleash and Abusive Sergeant and Hound Masters and Kill Commands. So like there's at least one Dread Corsair going to be coming down. Are we going to see the second? We're just going to see an armor up. So this either forces a trade up or a use of the bow, which then removes the bow from the game at the moment for Alex. So you won't get any benefits from traps.
Yep, that's good. He just wants to slow down Alex. I mean, he's over 30 health right now, so he's in no threat of being taken out. So he's just slowing down the pace a little bit. This infamous Patron Warrior there. And now he can play Frothing Berserker with the 3/3 and hit the Shredder and gain some extra attack on the Frothing. So actually this was a lot stronger. Playing a little bit more patient, not so greedy, committing 2 Frothings.
Ooh, 4/3. That's a really interesting card. In other circumstances, that can be a horrendous one to get, because what happens with the Wrathguard is that no matter, it's got 3 health, but no matter about its health, as much damage as you do to it in one hit is the amount of damage your opponent takes as well. So I've seen some pretty big shield slams happen to that card in my time since it's been released. So it's definitely a sort of double-edged sword. Kind of nice that he can automatically deal with this Frothing though and only take 4 damage, as he will have to actually trade the 3/3 first. He'll take 5, right? Because it'll do +1 from each attack or each minion hit, so the 3/1 and the 3/3. So that's unfortunate. He's going to take 5 if he wants to clear it like this, which I'm sure he has to, but at least he can follow up with a Shredder and he's gained the board control. And Crane's suddenly looking a little bit, a little bit worse for wear. It's really going to rely heavily on that top deck, and that is a pretty nice top deck. I was just about to say that a lack of Whirlwind or any sort of effect renders the Grim Patron a little bit useless because it can no longer charge. So you definitely want a Whirlwind effect to put that Patron on the board and generate more tokens that Hunter normally has a lot of problems dealing with.
Although Alex is still going to be able to put the pressure on Huffer is going to be really good here, going to put more pressure on the life. But like you said, that top deck, once again, Crane showing us he can get the top decks when he needs them. But, Crane has an answer to this entire board actually with the Execute as well. So not looking too shabby.
Yeah, Crane's in a decent position as he's regaining board control, but now we can see Unleash, Quick Shot, and Arcane Golem in hand, and Crane is on 11 health and he can't armor up this turn. So, it's kind of a benefit that he's only been able to generate 2 patrons this turn, because it definitely negates the power of Unleash. But Unleash is still going to be there for whenever he wants to, and there is one way that Hunter can pump out a lot of damage, and it's without there being an Armorsmith on board and being able to unleash onto a full patron for 7.
You can just push out so much damage this turn. You can push out 9, and then unleash. Quick Shot should just finish up the game. He's going to need like an Armorsmith and a Whirlwind to kind of gain any more health back. So I'd be surprised if we don't see at least the Arcane Golem with the with the hero power on its own. Quick Shot might stay back, not to reveal too much. Like you have all that damage.
I think Quick Shot's okay to stay. Maybe even there's actually just a little point in playing the Owl onto a patron, which sounds crazy, compared to what we've seen in the past about dealing with patrons. But because he's got Unleash in hand, he wants those go for it. I doubt without charge anymore, they're probably not going to do 21 damage in one turn. So he probably wants those patrons to start stacking up to make his Unleash really strong.
I don't think with Owl as well, 2 Dread Coursers have gone and 1 Armorsmith. So Owl's only real target at this point in the game is an Armorsmith. And, playing this Frothing's not going to be enough now. This is actually going to be enough for Alex to be able to close out the game.
We're going to go up to 7.
No, actually.
So he still will be a 3, 4, 5. Oh, he'll have lethal.
Yeah, exactly lethal. And not considering anything else he draws as well. Very quick game so far. We had a 5-game set with Gara and Camlin last time, but it felt really short for a Hearthstone matches. Considering we used to be used to kind of grindy handlock mirrors and grindy patron mirrors. So I really like kind of the direction the game has taken.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the game, there's not much Crane can do at this point. I think Alex had been able to put on that much pressure, even with 2 Dread Corsairs he got through. So one of the key cards in this match has been Abusive Sergeant. Super underrated card. If you play a deck that has like usable tokens, so you look at Imp Gang Boss in Warlock, Unleash the Hounds and Creepers and Web Spinners in Hunter. You look at Paladin, just its hero power and combined with Muster for Battle. Being able to just instantly trade up that much really, really is powerful, and leaving the 2-1 on the board. And that really did have a huge impact on this match.
It let him trade up and into the taunts, which is what he needed, and draw an Eagle Horn Bow is just icing on the cake.
Seals the deal, yeah.
Yep. There we go. So first game going to Alex, very quick fashion. Patron not showing the former strength it had before the Warsong nerf. 1-0 to Alex.
Yeah, again, really solid play, really good decision making. I kind of expect nothing less, if we go by what we saw yesterday from Alex. So really strong play. Sort of just took Crane apart to a large extent. And even looking at the deck that Crane's playing now, the Patron, a Warsong probably wouldn't have changed much either.
Oh, no.
It just fell, all the pieces fell right for Alex, and he really went in on that. Being able to trade up on the Abusive, like I said, was pretty huge.
So these guys are ready for the next game. 1-0 to Alex. Can Crane tie it up and increase the chance to go to China? We shall see. And he's queued in the Patron Warrior once again, and the Druid is coming down for Alex. Now, Druid was a deck that picked up a lot of popularity because of Patron's presence, bringing Handlock with it. So Druid generally has a decent matchup against Patron. And now without the Warsongs, I mean, Warsong wasn't a big part of Patron's game trying to face the Druid. I mean, an Inner Rage Whirlwind combo on a Patron on turn 5 or 6 usually was enough sometimes to just close out and lock out a Druid. So we'll have to see how things have changed since Warsong has been rotated out. Yeah,
and looking at the opening hand here from Crane, he does have Execute and Fire War Axe. And Fire War Axe versus Druid didn't used to be that crazy, but now with the addition of Downstairs Aspirant in a lot of Druid decks, it's huge. Being able to just insta-remove it is massive. A Ghoul's pretty strong, so it's another something that can activate the Grim Patron. Acolyte of Pain is always nice early to start that cycle. And because this deck still, as we can see with cards like Slam, we saw a Battle Rage in his opening hand, this deck still wants to cycle. That part of the deck hasn't changed. You still want to draw a lot of cards to be able to combo a lot of minions. It's just you don't normally do it with a charge anymore.
I like this from Crane, trying to bait out something like a Wrath early on, and the bait has been taken. And then this leaves it to Acolyte Pain a lot safer on 3 now. So this might have not been his overall intention. I don't see the point of coining out this Unstable Ghoul on its own if you're not trying to fish out a Wrath. And Crane's rewarded for playing a few mind games there.
Yeah, and you've got to look at it other ways as well. If it sort of reduces the chance of Aspirant coming out, but if Aspirant came out, you Fire War Axe it down and still keep the 1-3 on the board. And then the higher the turns get for a Druid, because they want to be playing the minions, like the worse it is for them to have to like turn 4. Well, I've got a Shredder or Wrath this Ghoul and Hero Power. The Shredder's obviously the better play overall, but sometimes you need to clear that board, because if that Ghoul stayed there, and then he just plays Patron turn 5, runs the Ghoul in, the Druid's definitely going to run into some issues. But again, we see Frothing Berserker as just a tempo play. We saw this versus Druid in like old school, like strong Patron. We saw this being a valid target with Druid, just dropping a Frothing Berserker to create tempo. But now especially so, we see more and more matchups and more freely against Druid as well.
I mean, that's basically its role now. You basically play this Frothing to put pressure on. If it gets buffed up, this is a threat, like you said, they have to deal with eventually, and you don't want to let this Frothing build up. 2/4 is a nice kind of health total for 3 mana. As you can see, the Shade can't actually clear it. He's going to need something else. And now you're in a situation where you're saying, do you want a Hero Power with this Shade? Do you still want to play a Shredder? Luckily for Alex, he does have the option of playing Shredder, Innovate Hero Power, but then turn 5, you're going to want an Ancient of Law if you can as fast as possible. So a lot of things. For once, Druid have to think about things. what shall I spend my mana?
Shots fired from Acro against all Druids of the world. That is his views and his views alone. I'm not getting involved in this Druid smack talk. But yeah, I mean, it definitely is a problem, and it's very heavily dependent on how he chooses to use his resources. It does look like it's going to be Shredder into Hero Power with Innovate. Is he just going to Hero Power and pass?
That was actually a misplay from him, because he could have healed. No, sorry.
Yeah, he would have lost the
shade. Yeah,
he would have lost
my
the
bad.
shade,
Ignore me.
Yeah.
I'm just trash talking
Aqua
druids.
just hates druids, guys. So just ignore him on those comments. It's fine. I'll cover the druid side from now on, so we have a more biased or unbiased, should I say?
All right,
approach.
I'm on Team Patron now. You can be on Team Druid.
Okay, so we do see the Shredder get cleared up by that Fire WarAxe. It's been almost ready and waiting for at least 4 turns. The Dread Corsair is going to be nice next turn to squeeze in just for that 1 mana, and Acolyte of Pain is going to be pretty nice to just throw that out there, like you said, with 1 Wrath gone. Feeling pretty good, and as we can see, there's a Druid with the Claw going to come down, almost certainly in Taunt. Yep, nailed it. Which is a little bit awkward for Crane to now deal with.
Yeah, that Druid almost had a decision to make there with those 2 options. Oh, I'll stop.
Oh, come on. Aqua hates Druids, confirmed.
But look how different Patron is now. We're used to a time where Patron at this point would just have loads of cards in their hands. And look at Crane, both matches so far. Crane just hasn't had loads of tools, much like the Patron of old. So it definitely shows how different the direction of the deck building has gone, minus the Warsong Commander.
Yeah, there is still a lot of card draw, but a lot of the time, or from the recent versions of the decks we've seen, Gnomish Inventor's been removed, so there's 1 card, or 1 cycle. This swipe's going to be really nice. The Druid of the Claw will go down next turn, though. And I think there's 1 more card, and another Patron isn't really what Crane needs. He needs an Inner Rage or a Whirlwind or something just to be able to generate more pressure on the board.
Yeah,
he does have a lot of time, though. He's still on 30 health, right?
Yeah, but he's just not drawing the right stuff. Inner Rages, Whirlwinds, the things that complement this Patron. And, he's going to be able to get another Acolyte down, develop another weapon as well. So he can, he can start putting more pressure. But he's not drawing enough cards. And maybe this is where Patron is starting to fall short in the new meta game without the Warsong, without that combo orientation. It's turned into a mid-range deck, right? Mid-range deck with Patrons, and that's it doesn't have the same strength it once had, and we can see it with a lack of card draw.
That's a nice draw, though. He can just remove the 5/5, and and that's another nice draw. So I actually can see the execute and then just Patron Inner Rage. Armor up this turn, because let's just generate some more tokens on the board, get those Patrons down and force the Druid to deal with them. He's already seen a swipe, he's already seen a Wrath, and if the Druid starts messing around with more removal at this point in the game, then his turns overall are going to be a bit weaker, and then at some point Crane's going to have to draw into something a bit heftier in terms of top decking.
Yeah, that is definitely something he could go for if he feels he still needs to put pressure on Alex, but the only problem is that Alex has a perfect response to it. Force of Nature. Force of Nature will just deal with it, and then Crane is back to having 1 Patron in his hand with nothing else. So he's going to go for it because he just can't play too passively. It looks like he actually just goes to the Patron on its own, which is fine because he still has that extra Patron, and the Whirlwind is so important now. The Whirlwind is what's going to change this matchup.
I think Crane's identified now that his win condition is to get a big combo out of the Patrons and just hope the Druid now can't deal with it. I think that's both swipes gone. So this is now a pretty big turn. If Crane is ever going to win this match, this is the turn that changes everything.
But on the flip side, Force of Nature Savage Roar will just deal with this.
Yeah, and then you reduce the Patron Warrior to top decking, in which it's never that great when it's actually top decking on an empty hand. If you top deck in the 1 card you need for your combo, it's probably pretty okay. But when you top deck in with nothing, the Druid 1 would always win that fight anyway. But we can see from your hated foe, the Druid player here, that there's 5 cards in hand already. He still has a minion on the board, and as he said, Force of Nature Savage Roar is probably going to be used to clear it up. This isn't lethal, right? We're not missing something crazy here.
No, it's not lethal. But it is a concedable.
Yeah. It's like long-term lethal. Because although this doesn't win him the game this turn, it's probably going to win him the game going forward.
Oh yeah, this is the turn winning play. Not only because he clears the board and puts Crane in top decking mode, but the Druid's not going to run out of steam. Ancient of Law comes down next turn. He has Drake. He's just going to accelerate his card draw tremendously, leaving Crane in top deck mode against these 5/5/4/4 minions. And Crane's never going to be able to come back at this point. He's just got nothing in his deck.
He's also not even got the... that's a card he could have done with a turn ago.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
So he's got Cycle for 1. Double draw in the Battle Rage. I mean... he does play Gnomish Inventor, though, so that's something. But he's just spent his whole 9 mana on drawing cards and hasn't got too much out of it. He's put a minion on the board and he's got Death Bite, but Despite a lot of the time is so much more powerful the second swing because of the whirlwind. That's why you play the card. He will be able to remove one of the Azure Drakes, and hopefully Crane can draw into something there.
Double Despite.
Double Battle Rage.
Gnomish
Engineered, double Despite. Crane has not drawn the cards he needed in the right order this game.
Warriors can duel with, right?
Like
is that what
is this what you really want to see from Hearthstone? You hate Druids and love Warriors so much that you want Druids to just not play the game, and Warriors to dual wield weapons. Just a casual 8 damage per turn.
Yeah, but you'll take 8 damage to the face to trade, right?
Oh, okay.
That's the way you've got to look at it. And Dr. Boom, just rubbing in there, salting the wounds here. So much damage on board. Savage Roar in hand, waiting. Grom is just not enough.
Yeah, if Crane could maybe make those patrons just stick and get 1 round of attacks in, the 14 damage from the Grom combo could actually, have caused some issues. He's not too far away from lethal. It's just that because Alex managed to just force of nature Savage Roar to just clear the 4 patrons easily, then it didn't open him up enough to be aggressive enough. Even the Frothing Berserkers were actually dealt with fairly reasonably both times.
Well, this is it. When patrons had Warsong, they dealt with the board there and then, didn't they? When they were played, and it was they usually didn't have an opposing board to deal with. But it didn't really matter at that case because Force of Nature was enough, and that was it. There was Crane went all in on that hand, on that patron turn, and it just wasn't enough. I mean, he does actually survive here. There's only 10 damage with 2 health left, but it's looking so bleak. And as we can see, Savage Roar in Alex's hand going to be able to get the game here. Yeah, well, actually, he trades.
Yeah, he's forced to trade because the odds on the Druid with 4 cards in hand not having anything are pretty slim. He is still on 12 health, but again, as the game goes on, there's Grom. I think he does have Dr. Boom, because that's what I've been seeing recently in these new style patron decks, but even Dr. Boom at this point in the game wouldn't be enough.
So yeah, Alex actually goes in the charge form, puts him on 6 health last
and there we go.
So yeah, looking pretty bad here for Crane. 2-0 down already. Alex taking a dominating lead here, but it's Conquest. Anything can happen. Crane still will have an opportunity to come back, but this patron needs to win.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday, I think for the last match of the day, was it where Gara was 2-0 down? And he came back to win as well. So it's completely possible, and Crane does know Patron very well. Even the new style, I can tell you right now that he's probably played at least a few hundred games, if not, he's played a lot of this deck already straight after the nerf.
So these guys are wasting no time. They're going to go into the next match, and Patron is back with a vengeance. Crane is going
to win with this deck.
He needs to find that win. Paladin may be a little bit easier because obviously all the whirlwind effects do interact better with the tokens that are generated from Haunted Creeper and Muster for Battle and stuff like that. But Alex is just so close here to go in China, and Crane I think will be devastated to lose this.
Yeah, I mean, again, whoever loses this does have a second chance to qualify, so it won't be like the end of the road for the loser of this match, as we saw in the previous match as well, but it's definitely not what you want to see. You want to secure that spot now. Look at the open hands to these guys. We see that double fire Rorax, pretty nice, deal with some of the early threats from the Paladin, but again, 3 weapons in the Grim Patron, probably not what you want to see straight away. The Gnomish Inventor pickup's definitely going to help, but Alex has has just done 2 damage with the mini-bots so Crane removed the Divine Shield, and now he has, is he going for Repentance?
Interesting.
Yeah, I think what he wants to do is deal with the Frothing, the turn 3 Frothing.
I like that.
So he's going to continue to put pressure on the mini-bot, just put to phase 2. Crane's already locking in the weapon attack. He knows that Secret could well be Noble Sacrifice. And the reason he did that as well is playing the Juggler doesn't really change too much because he couldn't have played the Secret then, so the Juggler was almost certainly going to die.
He's protecting the Juggler for the Muster as well to squeeze in some more damage. And now the weapon's gone, Juggler can come down, or you could just go for Muster if you want. I don't mind either. Muster gives him a weapon so he can start chipping away at that armor. Gives him more of a board then, and he's saying to Crane, you need a Whirlwind or something to deal with most of this. Yeah,
I think the Muster's fine here, because also, again, it's one of those things, if you use Whirlwind now, well, he still has Shredder, he still then has Juggler, Avenge, whatever. If you use a Whirlwind now, then that reduces the impact of his turn overall, and one, he would have to use something else to kill the mini-bot, and also, there's one Whirlwind gone, and we saw how much Crane needed a Whirlwind in the previous game. and it just came too little too late. So getting to use a massive resource like that against Patron Warrior will be not a win for Alex, but close to one.
I bet you Crane is so glad he played this guy. If he had played Deathspite set up for the Patron turn, he would have played Patron into Repentance, and that would have not been a Patron turn for him. So a good heads-up play from Crane there, making sure Repentance wasn't down to completely ruin his game plan.
Yeah, that definitely would have been a bit of an awkward moment.
That would have been terrible. That would have been that would have been soul-crushing.
Yeah. And again, one of the differences we see after this Patron nerf, building a board up like this looks sort of crazy for the Paladin pre-nerf, but now you know there's nothing immediately going to pop out and attack in, so it's a little bit safer to just build the board up and really apply the pressure. Crane's on 18 health. Alex hasn't got a scratch on him yet, and he has by far the big board presence with no minions that are currently on the board against Crane. Doesn't look like Crane's going to set up for the Deathspite turn though. He's going to attack him first, remove the Secret Keeper from the game. Avenge is going to proc and cause an even bigger issue onto the Juggler though. So again, what we said earlier in the Secret Paladin matches, when that all goes onto your main minion, great. It's great for the other player because they can just remove one minion and feel fairly safe. Whereas if it's spread across onto the 1-1, you know, it's more difficult for the Warrior to deal with.
It would have been fantastic for Alex if it did hit the 1-1.
Yeah.
Like you said, all the eggs went into the basket of the Knife Juggler and he was easily remove it. But the thing is, Alex still has a lot of pressure here.
Yeah, but the Dreadcore says definitely a good pickup. He's going to leave the Shredder up by the looks of things, which I agree with because it means he can clear all but one of the minions. And because the Corsair will be on 2 health, the Light's Justice isn't going to straight up clear it for him to go face. So he does have to run the Shredder in, and it defends the 2 patrons. So he can maybe squeeze off a Battle Rage next turn.
Oh, you can actually play Muster and Piloted Shredder now if you wanted. But, you know, patrons are on board. You've got to take that into consideration. You don't want to give them too much fuel.
Oh, this is nice. With the Inner Rage as well. Are we going to see the Inner Rage quite yet? I think you might just be happy with a 3 card.
No, I think you should Inner Rage here.
Yeah, I kind of like Inner Rage. You're not too fearful of Consecrate at this point. But Inner Rage is nice. It gains him the armor as well as creates a huge Battle Rage for 4. There's 1 Execute, a Ghoul, another Ghoul, and a Whirl. Pretty good cards.
Yep, play that Ghoul.
You throw that Ghoul down no matter what happens and defend against the Paladin. Paladin does get a Mad Scientist, which isn't a card that's ran in Secret Paladin because it actually makes the Mysterious Challenger worse. But again, at this stage in the match, when you've got no cards, maybe it's not so bad.
You'll find something at least with the Death Rattle. Ghoul is just, the Ghoul pickup's amazing here because it's going to really lock Alex out of winning this game because he just doesn't have the reach. Divine Favor will make a difference.
He's going to draw 3 cards. He kind of just needs Consecrate, right? This isn't looking great. This could just be game. I'm struggling to see how Alex is going to come back from this.
No, he
there we go.
And that's it.
Wow, it concedes on 30 health. That's the that's still the power of Patron, guys. So we see Crane does take that win, which is probably feeling pretty good about that. Just to be like, right, okay, was 2-0 down, got the win with my Patron deck. Let's crack on as we are straight away getting into the next game.
These guys just want to qualify. They are not wasting any time. So yeah, 2-1. Alex is still on match point. He still can qualify with just 1 win here. Crane still has 2 games, but now Alex might struggle a little bit. He's got to play Freeze Mage. Now Freeze Mage generally can do very well against Paladin if it gets that early board press, you know, the Loot Hoarders, the Mad Scientists, starting getting some Ice Barriers, just kind of lock all that damage out for them. But Paladin can do the Paladin stuff, right? The perfect curve into the Mysterious Challenger. But
yeah, and the cards the Paladin plays normally, like Creepers, Shredders, as well as Mysterious Challenger, and the fact that there's cards like Redemption, Avenge, and all those combinations make the board actually really difficult for Freeze Mage to clear. So unless they get a really strong start, it could be really difficult. Even you look now, the Mad Scientist, the Knife Juggler, I mean, and the Secret Keeper, kind of a little bit awkward, yet still a lot of pressure. And Crane has to do something here because if he doesn't, then Alex's hand could be 3 secrets, and suddenly that Secret Keeper becomes very, very scary.
Oh, Mysterious Challenger here, one of the key cards of this deck, and one of the ones that will help him win for sure. I mean, he can trade into this. I
think I like the Abusive Sergeant. You risk the 1 juggle going to the 1-3, but I think the juggler, you don't want it to just be pinged down next turn.
Well, this is what Crane wants, isn't it? He wants him to swing the juggler in, and then he can just
Alex
ping it.
is going for the juggler, though. So what he's doing is, instead of thinking, juggler's going to do me my damage here, he's going to go, no, actually, I'm going to build up this this secret keeper and really push. The only thing is, I would understand that a bit more if he had like another secret in hand, but he doesn't. So let's see how Crane responds. He does have 2 secrets in his hand, one of each. He has the ice block and the ice barrier, which on one side, ice barrier heals him for 8. But on the other side, you would much rather play the mad scientist, get a trade, and pull the secret straight from there.
Oh, we go to the ping here. He's going to be punished. He's going to get that redemption. He could have pinged a 2-1 there and got that get the redemption on that. But he's just going with the line of play which he had set up.
Well,
before.
if it hadn't been redemption, you're doing okay.
Yeah,
you
for sure.
But now look at this board again. He pinged. The juggler's still alive. All the other minions are still alive. He's now dropped Shredder. How does a Freeze Mage deal with this? It's turn 4. I mean, Frost Nova Ice Lance on something? That's not what you want to do on turn 4 in a defensive stance when you're on 16 health. And especially because next turn we can see Alex is probably just going to lock in True Silver, smack him in the face for 4, and then follow up with Mysterious Challenger and say, okay, mate, you've got to answer this. And what Alex is probably swiftly realising is that there's no Doomsayer in hand. Because you've got to say Crane would have dropped Doomsayer even just on its own by now.
Yeah.
Even with Doomsayer ping or something, just to put some pressure on and sort of at worst heal for 7. Because again, this Paladin doesn't normally, maybe runs 1 owl maximum, and doesn't normally run too much in the way to deal with big minions.
I would say you were quite good at a suggestion there. Maybe Frost Nova Ice Lance. If you Ice Lance the Secret Keeper, I mean, that kills a free health minion there. You can ping the Knife Juggler and next to him play Ice Barrier. So you'll heal 8, right?
Yeah.
And you're gonna lose. You're gonna take at least 2 damage.
But then next turn you have Blizzard.
Yeah.
So
and then you have Blizzard. Then you have Flame Strike, and then hopefully you can draw into some more cards.
Yeah. And then we are going to see the Frost Nova Ice Lance play, which is really pretty heads up. It's what he needed to do, because what Crane needs to do now is slow the game down. The longer the game goes on, the better it is for Crane. But the speed in which Alex is actually pressuring him is pretty ruthless at the moment. He does hit for 4, and he's just drawn Dr. Boom. I mean, as the Paladin, this is exactly what you want to see.
Yeah, it's pretty tough. Challenger into Boom, the perfect curve, which I mentioned, which snowballs have held out of control here. He will heal for 8 with the Ice Barrier, be chipped away for 10 next turn without any of attacks from charge minions, which they don't have. Mysterious Challenger most surely going to come down here. It's looking really bleak, but if any deck can really come back, it's definitely going to be Freeze Mage,
Yeah, I mean, there is a Blizzard in hand still, like, I said, so you can slow this game down a little bit. But again, this is the issue where Secret Paladin can actually perform really well versus Freeze Mage. He Blizzards, the 2-1 comes back, something gets avenged. What does he do then? Because a 6-6 or a 4-3 is going to gain +2 health. Then how do you deal with it? It's really, really tough.
Blizzard, you could go for maybe a... I don't know.
Because again, he fireballs the 6-6, then pings it, because it's going to be a 6-1 from Redemption, but then something else gets avenged. And
Competitive Spirit as well.
Yeah, Comp Spirits and more damage is so rough.
It's just Blizzard,
yeah. The Blizzard has to come down, and the issue now is Crane's pressured so hard that I just don't think that, Thorison, key card in this deck, not against a deck like this, so not against Paladins pressuring you this hard.
He didn't find those loot hoarders, those mad scientists at the start.
No, nothing. And a Doomsayer probably would have
important.
completely evened up this match. There's Competitive Spirit, so there's 4, 5, 6, 7 damage straight away. And I think the second Alex drops this Dr. Boom or a second Mysterious Challenger, this could well just be game for Crane.
Yeah, Crane is probably going to lose going forward. Like, look at this board. How do you deal with it? You can Frost Nova. Well, you can still Frost Nova. We shouldn't count him out just yet. And you can set up the Ice Block. It's a very slow play, though. It won't be enough to hold on. And once the second Challenger comes down, I mean, it's so...
That's the problem. Being able to get a very, very safe Challenger out when there's minions on the board, one of which is a Shredder, and then go Challenger, Dr. Boom, Challenger.
Yep.
Okay. That's really not what you want to see. The only thing that would be worse than that is Tyrion. On top of the old Challenger Dr. Boom Tyrion is probably the most powerful 3 turns, like chain turns in the game.
Yeah, this is... I mean, Crane will still fight regardless because he wants to go to China. He wants to to win that prize money and win this tournament. So he's going to think of a way here. Frost Nova is definitely one way to keep this board at bay. You can set up the ice block then just to make him live another turn. But it doesn't really achieve that much in the grand scheme of things. It's actually just going to go for a Frostbolt here.
Yeah,
so
he's setting him up for a Flame Strike, and hoping for the best at this point, which, you know, it's a good play. It's the play, actually, that's going to keep Crane in the game. But the Mysterious Challenger, how many secrets are going to come out here? Let's have a look. And
Repentance.
One more, which is Avenge. And he's going to play his own Repentance. So now the problem is, oh, Archmage Antinarius could bring me back in the game. Oh, wait, it's 1 health. So there's an issue. And it's not as if he was even on the turn to do something and play Alex Straza next turn. Where and how are the Boombots going to hit here? Because won't the Challenger still proc as a 6-1?
Avenge is going to still come off.
And there we go.
So Crane is actually going to lose this, and MillAlex is going to China, and he has an opportunity to win $3,000. Well, he gets $3,000 if he gets second, and win $8,000. So congratulations to Alex. He will be you'll be seeing him in China playing for WCA with other qualifiers so far, which is Gara, Life Coach, Stan Sifka, and Kalento. So a really kind of high class kind of qualifiers so far.
Yeah, and you know, it's great to see new players come up through the ranks and see them perform and sort of get their name on the big stage. But also, it's a testament to how good these guys are. That they fought through a massive bracket. We know these guys. You know, we know Nate. Alex plays for Millennium. Quite a good team, pretty big in France. And then we look at Gara. We look at Crane, who isn't quite out of it yet, as he's still got a chance to go into the China for the last game.
So this is how the whole tournament has gone so far for the top 8. As you can see, Gara and Alex are both qualified for the WCA Championship, which will be held in China in December. And they've also got a shot at some prize money. The 3rd place match here will be Crane versus Camlin. And that is going to be the big, and that is going to be the heartbreak match.
Yeah, definitely. That's, although again, Gara versus Alex, I'm quite excited to see the finals there, because that's going to be a good final. Both these players playing really solid. Alex has just performed so well so far this tournament, and Gara definitely had some rough moments, but still come out on top, which says something about him as a player as well. But the 3rd place match, it's literally everything to play for. One guy takes it all in terms of the trip to China and some prize money, and the other guy just done. That's it.
I mean, $1,500 on its own. I mean, for 3rd place, that's not chump change. That
is no,
like
yeah, the money's definitely the bonus. It's just, you know, these guys are playing to take that trip and, you know, just hang in there, because then once they're there, they could win the whole thing. So they want that chance.
All right, so who will go to China? We will find out very shortly. But if you'd like to know more information about WCA and the tournament itself, be sure to check out their website. Also, if you want to hit us up on Twitter, you know, our tags have been on display, but also use hashtag WCA Europe. We can drop your thoughts, give us some, like, any questions, any comments about the plays you've seen so far. So we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back for the nail-biter matches and, of course, the grand final. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back soon.